So Doug, I have a couple of new investments to go over with you, something that you might want to talk to your investors about.
Okay.
The first one is a house in Pleasanton, very similar to the one that we just came out of. It's a short sale situation, and I think that the valuations are going to be in kind of the mid-5 range, but we're going to go in, negotiate, and try to get us into the mid-4s. Just needs a little bit of touch-up and cleanup. So it should be a pretty short turnaround time. We've got some comps on the downside to help us push that price down when we're negotiating with the bank. So I'm thinking we can get in that, the 450, 465 range, just a little coat of paint, some carpet, that type of thing, and probably resell the property somewhere in the mid-5s. And so that's a short sale that we're currently just starting the negotiation process on. So we're probably looking at needing funds in about 60 days.
Okay.
I don't know if that's something that you think our investors might be interested in.
Well, my investor was real happy, Dave. The numbers came in pretty much spot on to the projection. He ended up with about a $32,000 profit on a $285,000. I think his share was $285,000. And it was less than 90 days, so he's real happy.
Well, that's good news. I mean, we're always wanting to make sure our clients are happy, that they're getting the kind of returns that they're looking for, which is why we tend to be a little conservative on our projections. And there's a couple of other deals that I'm working on right now. But you had mentioned before that you had another investor as well who had been kind of looking at what you were doing and sounded kind of interested. Tell me a little bit about him.
Well, yeah, I have a guy that I know really well, and he hasn't done any of this kind of investing before. He's had his money in 401k and some other things. So he was asking me, and I thought I'd come to you. I said, I got a guy that does this stuff and does it really well. He's not sure how aggressive he wants to be because it's a first-time thing. What kind of differing options, might we have for him?
Well, that's a great question, Doug, because the different types of investments that we do have can range from more conservative to a little more aggressive. The most conservative type of investments we do, the investor basically gets a fixed return. It's going to be better than what he gets at the bank, but it's pretty much going to be a fixed, steady return, like an interest rate. And then probably a moderate level of aggressiveness would be the type of property where we're able to get it at a low price. There's not a lot of work that needs to be done to it, a little bit of cosmetic fix-up, and then we can turn right around and put that back on the market. Those tend to go a little bit shorter, it's a little more predictable, kind of like the last one you just came out of. And then the third type is one like we did in Dublin last year, where we took that 1960s home, nothing had been done to it, all original, and we went in, gutted it, new kitchen, new bathrooms, new windows, new roof, furnace, new flooring, everything when you walked right in. Those tend to be, as you recall, those tend to have the highest returns, but they also do carry a little bit more risk because if you're opening up walls and moving things like that around, you never know 100% what you're going to find. So those are kind of like 3 different levels of investment aggressiveness and potential, and it really just depends on what your investor might feel most comfortable with.
Well, let me take that back to him. I think he'll be really interested. I've talked to him a lot about you and how you work, and I think he feels pretty comfortable with my endorsement. How does it work? Can he start with, let's say he wants to come in and maybe he just wants to do, you talked about the fixed return, maybe that's a note or something, and then the other levels, it's pretty easy to start him at one and then move him into the others. Is there a lot of available projects? How does that work?
Actually, that's a great question, Doug, and definitely we've had other investors in the past that wanted to start off with something just predictable, get their feet wet, and then usually what ends up happening is they start wondering, well, what did the other guy do? The guy that came in and was a little more aggressive or was willing to take on the higher potential reward type things. And then they start to compare, and once they feel comfortable, it's very easy to say, hey, next time through, let's go ahead and try one of these projects. I'm never going to shut anybody out. I'm always just going to give you the information that you need to make a decision, and then you can decide if that makes the most sense. And he can too. He can try one first. If he likes it, if he likes the returns, he might just stay there. But if he really wants to explore some other options, he'll get all that same information that you've been getting, and then he can make a decision whether maybe it's worthwhile to step up.
Well, that sounds really good, Dave. I think Matt's going to really, that's my guy. I think he's going to really be excited about what the possibilities are. So I'll talk to him. If he wants to get started, what would be his next step?
Well, I would suggest the next step would be for us then to either set up a conference call where we can introduce him to what we do and answer any questions he might have, or even better, bring him in for set up a time where he can come in for a face-to-face, and I can just show him some of the things that we do, and then he can make a decision as to what really is the best place for him to start.